To be perfectly honest, where I get my inspiration is I always watch what's happening on the runway around the world.
Yeah.
Always watch what's happening in Fashion Week. And I don't know if you, I actually put it up on my Instagram page a couple of weeks ago, um, Fashion Week in London, and they had a wave, but it was actually a lot softer. And the photo shoot that I haven't even released yet, it's
Yeah.
we've just finished it.
Yeah.
I've just softened that out and brought it more coming forward. So the waves were on the runway,
Yeah.
and my first initial thought as an educator is everyone runs from waves because they think they're really hard.
Yeah.
And they're only really hard if you don't prep the hair properly.
Yeah.
You haven't set it properly because you get what you set.
Yes.
And then we developed our curved comb, which because the head's not straight, so why are we always trying to get a straight comb?
Yeah.
If I can show somebody how to mold a wave in using a curved comb and a waving clamp that actually is the same shape, it
Yeah.
just makes things a lot easier. So I think my whole philosophy of everything that I'm doing is trying to make everything easier and faster.
Hello and welcome to It's So Much More Than Hair. And I have with me today the fabulous Lorna Evans, someone I have been dying to talk to for quite some time. We've finally set a date and here we are. So introducing Lorna, how are you today?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for asking me. This is quite exciting.
I'm very excited. I love any chat that I have with you, but it's really nice to have you here. So
We go back quite a number of years when I think of it. I was actually thinking about that today. I think the first time I actually came down to Geelong, it must be 12 years ago, at least.
yeah, I think I think it was because
And we did a show on the
at the
on
waterfront.
on the waterfront. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But did we do two? Yeah, we did two
I
shows.
think we did. I think we
We
did.
did two. So it was definitely because I'm thinking, yeah, yeah, and that was really
Time
cool.
flies.
Both were fantastic. So anyway, we do go back, but I'd love to just ask you the question. Like, I don't know whether I have ever asked you, Lorna, but where did it all begin for you?
Do you know, it actually began for me in my apprenticeship. I did my apprenticeship here down on the Mornington Peninsula. And the question was asked, was we actually were never asked, would you like to compete in a hair competition? It was, what category are you competing in? Because it was expected in your apprenticeship. It was just where the salon that I worked in, it was you had no choice.
Yeah.
So to be perfectly honest, I was terrified of getting up there to cut Helen in
Oh,
front of people, and I thought, oh my god, I'll cut all my fingers. I'll do styling. So I started practicing on a mannequin head,
yeah.
and I was really nervous. So I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And I started to, win a couple of awards at HBIA, and we had IHS, and it was just so much fun. So that was where I pretty much started. And then I never thought about teaching, to be honest. And it was, I'm going to make myself sound really old here, but Matrix were not even owned by L'Oreal,
Yeah.
and they were owned by a distributor. And they had actually came to me and said, would I do a workshop? And I said, I wouldn't know how. And they said,
Yeah.
well, we'll help you and we'll teach you. And it wasn't long after that that L'Oreal then came on board. And that was really when I learned how to be an educator. But the styling itself, the love of styling really just happened because we had to compete. So I think it was a great thing.
Yeah, it is a great thing. And I think like I know, I've done a little bit of competition, which is, I think it's actually a really good it's just a good experience to have, whether you dive really deeply into it or you just dip your toe in the water. it's a great experience, but it does kind of give you more awareness of and more inspiration from the other people you're competing with too.
100%, 100%. And the excitement of meeting up with people from all different salons, and then we'd go into state, and we would compete in the nationals and whatever. And so you would meet all different people. I mean, you're going back, oh God, 30. I've been married 30 years, and so it was before, I don't know, it must be 40 years. God, I really am old, aren't I? But it
No,
was,
you're not at
it was
all.
when I was 15, but I loved it. And I think that, and even sort of moving forward, and, I ended up judging comps for a long time, and the adrenaline in those rooms was great. So I know that it's not as big and popular anymore, but I tell you what, I would love to see the popularity of that
Yeah.
come back to our industry, because I think it was actually a very, very good thing, and it made you practice.
Definitely. And I know just even, I just was talking to you before about we hosted a regional world skills, and the amount of students that they get excited about it, but then they get scared and they back out. But it was such a really good day the other day with the ones that were doing it, and just the vibe and how excited they were. And it didn't matter whether they didn't really they wanted, of course, they were competing to get somewhere, but it didn't really matter whether they weren't that self-conscious of their work. It was just the actual enjoyment of being there and doing
100%.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah. And
yeah,
then, yeah,
mine was from my apprenticeship, so right from the day dot. I mean, I loved cutting and colouring,
yeah.
but that's just how the styling sort of came about.
Yeah, definitely. And so was that a long hairstyle you did, or did you do enter one of the blow wave categories?
No, I did bridal, evening, and oh God, all the bridal, the evening wear. I loved the total looks.
Yeah.
I always loved the hair, the makeup, the dress, the model, the whole thing, and I loved all of that, and I still do.
Yeah.
I still get excited when you see a dress, and then you think, oh, that would look amazing with that hairstyle, and we could pair that with that. So I just loved all that. So no, I didn't do the blow waving. In fact, do you know what? That was why the time saver brush was invented.
Yeah.
Here's one I prepared
Yeah.
earlier.
Actually, I was going to get
Didn't it?
mine out and show
It was,
you.
it was because I never liked blow waving. But I have to blow wave. So I invented the time saver brush to make your blow waving faster because of the length of the barrel. I thought, God, there's got to be a faster way to do this, because I really want to just get to the bit where I prep the hair and
Yeah.
I can put it up. But so no.
Best brush out there, everybody. Best brush out there. I think
No,
I've got one.
and you actually, this isn't actually even launched. That's why it's sitting on my desk. This is the new one. It's the little thin one.
I did see you've got 3 sizes now. So
There's three sizes, but the
yeah.
third size was good, but we wasn't small enough. So we've actually gone smaller.
Yeah.
And we've changed some of the bristles and so forth. So watch this space. It'll be launched soon.
But the
But
bristle quality is very, very good. I think I've still got my first one. Might be a little bit squishy now, but not but it stood the test of time.
you get a good ball bristle brush, and it will last you a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah. No, it's a really good brush. Love it. Yeah, I think I've told you a few times how much I like that brush.
There's a reason why they're our best. They're definitely our bestseller.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
And then there was, I was, back to competitions, the actual, like you said, the total look, again, they are harder to find, these competitions now, but they're just you just got to love the way hairdressers do things, don't you? Because it brings everything together. It's not just about hair. It's about the total look. It's about the bridal dress. It's about the jewelry, the earrings, the makeup, the nails. That just kind of when you go to a hair competition, it just opens expands your awareness about style and and creativity so much more, doesn't it?
And it was live. I love a good photo. Don't get me wrong. And times change, and that's when we have to always change with it. But the difference with a live competition is it's got feeling. To when you're looking at a photograph or you may be looking at a reel on Instagram, you can maybe sometimes get that feeling with music and so forth, but nothing beats live.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like when we did the show this year at Hair Festival. You
Yeah.
know, nothing beats the live model in the gorgeous dress, and it was a Geelong designer. Bird skin that had with beautiful big orange, gorgeous, massive, big meringue of a dress with a big bow, and we had bows
Wow.
all over the hair and so forth. And he had basically gave me this when I said to him, what dresses have you got? And this had a big bow, and I went, oh, bows and hair, that could work. And that was, that's when we created the look with the bows. So, it comes from the dresses. So
Yeah.
it's great fun to make that, come to life really in a photo shoot and on stage in whatever way it was.
Yeah. So do you have do you sort of like spot a designer that you think would be, ideal for what you want to create, or do you kind of like I suppose it all comes together, but how do you bring it together? Like,
Well, I like to start with the designer. So,
yeah,
I do. I mean, we obviously do a bit of both. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing something where I'm going to be live, or I'm doing a show or something like, or a photo shoot, I will start with the designer,
yeah,
and then I will design the hairstyle around it. And I practice. This mannequin head is actually out for a reason today. I mean, this is the studio that I do, but the reason that it's there is because I'm actually doing a girlfriend's daughter's wedding. So the first thing I said to Nat is, send me a picture of your dress. So
yeah,
I looked at her dress, and now I said to her, let me have a play on a mannequin head, and I'm just going to see what we come up with. She's obviously gave me her wish list,
yeah,
and before I do the trial, I'll always hop on my mannequin. It's just, it's just, I don't know, it's just habit now. I think it takes away the stress and it allows you playtime. And when you do playtime, I think that keeps your creative juices always going
yeah,
rather than just getting a client in front of you and going, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm going
yeah,
to do. So you just do the same old thing, or you do what she's just maybe gave you a picture of. Whereas I feel like if I give myself 45 minutes, an hour to have a little bit of a play, it
yeah.
that works
Your mind calms, and then the ideas come, and
100%.
yeah, it's so good. Gosh, I've got so many. I'm like, yeah. So now I've got so many questions, but and then like you I'd say have to take the award for bringing back the wave with that beautiful, infamous,
Oh,
bigger
yeah.
wave. Did that just how'd that come about? Like, did you just think we need to bring back waves or
No, actually, no. To be perfectly honest, where I get my inspiration is I always watch what's happening on the runway around the world.
yeah,
Always watch what's happening in Fashion Week. And I don't know if I actually put it up on my Instagram page a couple of weeks ago. Um, Fashion Week in London, and they had a wave, but it was actually a lot softer. And the photo shoot that I haven't even released yet,
yeah,
we've just finished it.
yeah,
I've just softened that out and brought it more coming forward. So the waves were on the runway,
yeah,
and my first initial thought as an educator is everyone runs from waves because they think they're really hard.
yeah,
And they're only really hard if you don't prep the hair properly.
yeah,
You haven't set it properly because you get what you set.
yes,
And then we developed our curved comb, which because the head's not straight, so why are we always trying to get a straight comb?
yeah,
So, if I can show somebody how to mold a wave in using a curved comb and a waving clamp that actually is the same shape, it
yeah,
just makes things a lot easier. So I think my whole philosophy of everything that I'm doing is trying to make everything easier and faster.
yeah. That's
That was when Russell went, oh, you could make that your slogan, because I would see something, for instance, the hair sewing, the needles needed to be longer, or if I had a ball on the end of it, I'd be able to get right down to the scalp. And so if the eye of the needle was bigger, I'd be able to not stand there doing this. And, uh,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, it just, so all of that just comes together. So for the waves, it was really dictated from sorry, I went off on that tangent.
Yeah.
It's really dictated from what was happening in hair fashion. My thing was just, I just want to make it easier. So,
Yeah, for
and then I
sure.
love them because they look so
Oh,
beautiful.
they're just
So
stunning. And I think, you know, like you hope they sort of never go out again. Like they kind of, they were in a long time ago and then they went out for a long
yeah,
time. But you hope that they will
absolutely. I
always.
wish I had a bit of a show and tell of I could have actually gave you a little sneak peek at the look that we actually shot with another Geelong designer from
Oh,
a bridal designer over there called Pearls and Roses.
yeah,
So
yeah.
here
Oh
we
my
go.
God, I know who she is. She's
Karen.
yeah, Karen
Yeah.
Bordamus.
Yeah. So if we have a look at this. This is Sam McKnight. Now look at that. It's just
And
gorgeous.
and she is an incredible designer. She's beautiful. And
Yeah.
she's always had that really, yeah, she's always
Absolutely. But
been,
that was this is London Fashion Week. So that was so I shared what Sam McKnight did
yeah,
on in London Fashion Week.
yeah,
And then when we did our photo shoot a couple of weeks ago, I took a lot of inspiration from that. So the
yeah,
way it's changed.
yeah,
So my set pattern had to change, how I combed it out had to change. Um, so yeah, I,
yeah.
I I love it. I get excited with what's on the runway and then I go from there.
It's so good. Like, yeah. And then, okay, so prep. How do you prep the hair? What's your, like, I find like, doesn't matter how many times I see a student try and attempt long hair, they'll pull it out, pull a mannequin out of the cupboard, put it on their stand, and then look at a picture and try and bring it together. And it's like, no, you need to prep the hair. But like you were saying, and you were saying about how everything's done to sort of like to make it more convenient. How would what's your way of doing that?
Well, my number one thing is a lot of hairdressers get really overwhelmed. They open up the cupboard and
Yeah,
they go, there's hundreds of product in there. And
yeah,
they go, I don't know which one to pick. So
yeah,
my biggest thing is narrow it down.
yeah,
Narrow it down to two basic products. So I call them your bases. So two bases. So from wet to dry, if you can do one layer on the hair from wet to dry, and then not always, but sometimes you need a second layer on dry hair. So I will have a blow and set lotion. So I use Unite,
yeah,
but I'm always talking to my students, if you're not using this brand, it's fine. Just find something that if one has no hold and 10 has maximum hold,
yeah,
my blow and set lotion sits at around about a 4. It's for all your hairstyles that just need a bit of hold, but maybe not volume.
yeah,
So that's my blow and set lotion. And then my other product is a mousse. I personally think everybody needs to have a good mousse. Would you agree? You
yes,
love a good mousse. So I use the Unite Elevate mousse, and that's a good mousse because a lot of mousses have a lot of moisture in it,
yeah,
and I think for styling you don't want that moisture. So the Elevate mousse is also quite strong, and it sits at about an 8 to a 9. It's pretty strong. So
yeah,
my thing for prep is take away the overwhelm and just have two bases, and then you'll add to what you need. Do you need your wax sprays? Do you need your powder? I don't use a lot of powder, by the way. Do you need a textured spray? So your preparation is just narrow down, find a few products. And preparation is also, changes for each look. Like if I think of what we're really working on for 2025 for our workshops, is a lot of that very airy work is really in, like, so that very airy at the crown and then coming down into that really nice low bun type of thing, and maybe got a little bit of the ribboning and so forth, but it looks very airy and fluffy. And that is a micro crimp. There's a micro crimper,
yeah,
um, or a or a hot tease.
yeah.
So if I'm doing my airy work, I'm playing with the hot teas at the moment, and I'm also playing with the micro crimper. But I definitely love my hot teas. If you use that, the one with
No. So
it's,
what
it's
is,
so it's a it's a straighten. It is a crimper because
Yeah,
every stylist should have a crimper in
yeah,
their kit so that you're not teasing the life out of hair. So
yeah,
you actually tease the root area. Sorry, if you hot tease, which is a
yeah,
crimper,
yeah.
the the area where you want it full. When it comes to actually doing the back combing, you don't need to really get in there. So it's a
Right.
lot nicer on the hair. So we use the hot teas, but the difference with the hot teas is it had a square plate.
Okay.
It doesn't have a V in the plate. It actually is a square plate. And you also
Ah,
don't have to take a section and then another section because literally because it's curved, you actually just come in and you just go in through all your individual sections. So you'll see me doing it on myself and my social media. But
yeah,
so definitely for your prep is keep it basic. Don't go into overwhelm with what products you've got.
yeah,
Narrow it down and don't forget the crimp.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Don't
that's
forget the crimp.
it's good. So what about even like directional, like directional styling or anything like that? Do you think that's kind of, that's got a place as well? And where would you do that?
Yeah, 100%. That's another really good one for the curve comb
Yeah,
because you're doing something and it has to be a sleek, flat look,
yeah,
or if I'm going to be putting a product, like I use a product called Liquid Volume, if I'm wanting to get volume at the front. So if I'm wanting volume at the front, I will actually take the curve comb, I'll put the product in, and I will lift the hair away from the scalp using the comb. If
yeah,
I'm doing a sleek look, I will directionally flat blow wave because if you're doing or a high ponytail and
yeah.
if you're bringing the hair all up, the hair's growing down. We need to tell the hair we don't want you to go
That
down.
way.
We
Yeah,
actually want you to go up. So
yeah,
you've actually got to blow wave it up that way. So the curve comb actually scoops up so that you can actually take bigger sections. So your
yeah,
preparation takes half the time, but you can never do a professional ponytail without thinking about directional blow drying. It's
yeah, yeah.
just madness to try and do something like that because you'll have all those lumps and
Oh,
bumps. You need to get those out first.
I know it's such a hard, like it's a ponytail's hard. Like, and I
They
know
are really
when,
hard.
when we did our, when I was, at the Gordon, we did our pivot point styling. That was the first long hair style we did, and it took us all qualified hairdressers, all competent, but took us all probably a good three-quarters of an hour to do a ponytail.
Absolutely, to do a ponytail. I was in a class years ago in Perth, and this girl came back in after lunch and she said, I'm so upset. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, I've just spoken to my husband and he said, have you had a good morning? And she said, oh yeah, we've gone through preparation and we've done this. And she said, you should see the ponytail that I've just done. And he said, is that all you've done? My lunch? She said, he just doesn't understand because we then turned it into this and this and this. But so ponytails, there's a lot of tricks in a ponytail. A
Yeah,
lot of ponytail.
so many. Oh, so many. So, yeah. So you now, like, now you're doing educate, or like you're always educating, and you're always doing your releases and things. But you've also done some programs for hairdressers, yeah, for the curriculum, haven't you? So
Yeah.
that's a really big thing, and it's a great opportunity for hairdressers to come into, isn't it? Like,
Well, do you know, it wasn't something on my radar. I was actually asked by Ruth Brown, who was with Pivot Point for many, many, many years. And she said to me, Lorna, there is a big gap in these two units because they're not modern enough.
yeah,
And so, believe it or not, we launched that program 2 weeks before COVID hit. So
wow,
it was a really interesting time because, including my daughter who was in her apprenticeship, you try teaching hairdressing over Zoom.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you can do styling was probably the two units that I could really help with because so I did a lot with the schools over COVID. I remember at one stage Holly texting me one day and she was in the laundry and she was doing a cutting Zoom with her teacher Portia, and Portia was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But she's texting me and saying, "Oh my God, can you come down here?" And I've gone down and gone, "Hello, everybody," in my tracksuit. And, she's like, "I can't do this bit." So anyway, at least with the styling units online, you can cutting really, I think it's so much better when you're one-on-one with somebody.
Yes.
But with the styling units, what we've done is we've created a it's it's quite interactive. So number one is I needed to get them excited. So before any of the students get logged into our program, they actually get a kit of our tools in
Yep.
our beautiful bags.
Yep.
And they're excited about it. They're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this? What will I do with bungee tape? What will I do with this comb? It's curved. So I'm hoping that I've got their creative them actually thinking, what am I going to do? Then they get logged into the program, which they can either watch on a screen or they can even put it on as an app on the mobile phone. So it's all in modules. And even though we have to deliver everything is ticked off of what the government requirements are, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean it has to be old fashioned. The
Yeah.
French roll is huge at the moment. You look at
I
when Kim
know.
Kardashian came on on the Met Gala.
Yeah.
It's so and every year I change it up a bit. So I will, look at this next year we've got a little big changes happening. So you think about the single strand twist. So
Yeah.
the single strand twist is being used a lot at the moment on those beautiful, sleek, low buns.
Yeah.
So and in a school, they actually have to combine it with a braid. So they have
Yeah.
to do a combination. So that's what we've basically done is we've done a beautiful little tight low bun with a braid coming in. We've got our French rolls, we've got our waves, everything that they need to do, all their braids.
Yeah.
And the feedback has been great because the students actually, to start with, they would finish each module and they could put in some work and get a certificate. So
Yeah.
it's a certificate of participation from us, but they're
Yeah.
beautiful and they're personalised. We have
Yeah.
somebody full time just to do those. And then someone from Box Hill TAFE said to me, I have had a request, and she said, you're probably not going to be able to do it, but I thought I'd ask. She said they don't want a certificate for when they finish all their braids. They want a certificate for every single braid that they hand in.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and I thought, well, if that's what keeps you going, I want
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
next one, and my next one, and my next one.
Yeah.
So we send out hundreds of certificates a day with
Yeah.
the kid's name on it, and they've all got different images. They can put them up on their socials. We basically send it to them in two formats. One is a square format for social, and then the other one is a format that they can take to Officeworks and they can build their CV
Yeah.
in there as well. So, and the great thing is they can do it in the salon or they
Yeah.
can do it at home. And then with the certificates, they can come into you at a school and say, I'm ready to be assessed, because I'm not
Yeah.
assessing you. I'm just actually delivering to you. Your job at the schools is to then assess it, and they can actually fast track that so they're not spending that much time at school.
Yeah.
Or the teachers, they've usually got somebody over here doing colour, someone over here doing cutting. So when they go into those styling units, rather than that getting lost, you can say to your students, pop your headphones in, go and listen and watch because there's head sheets, notes and tutorials. Go and watch it, do it on the mannequin, and I'm here when you need me. It
That's
just leaves them there for the cutting and the colouring.
that is amazing. It's so good
It's been
because
amazing.
yeah, it's a big gap. Like I think for something that, was such a big thing probably in our day, in hairdressing because, you know, you have to admit the industry's changed quite a lot now. Like when we started hairdressing, you just did everything. Whereas now you've got, you've got salons that specialize in color, and then you've got then you've got hairdressers out there that are doing your bridal styling. So that whole styling um, um, component of our industry has actually has kind of like taken its own road a little bit. And so I know myself as I'll get students in that just they've got a slight interest in it, but because it doesn't happen in the salon, they're scared of long hair.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's quite incredible. I've obviously in classroom and doing workshops. I think I've done about 17 this year. And the amount of hairdressers that have been qualified for 10, 15, 20 years that aren't confident in it is
Yeah.
huge. because it was skipped over. But, one of the things that I always remind them is at some stage or another, I was a salon owner for 32 years, loved my salons. And Helen, cut and colour is where we made the most of our money. Always cut and colour, always cut and colour. But at
Yeah.
some stage or another, our clients were getting married, they were going to debutante balls, they were going to school socials. If you thought for 1 minute that I wanted to send my client across the road to another salon, to somebody who was confident,
Yeah. No.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
We gained a lot of clients that would come to us because we did have, it's not every stylist, because some stylists didn't like it,
Yeah.
but the ones that had the love for it, then you'd
Yeah.
go, okay, well, let's nurture that. You at
Yeah.
least need one person in the salon to look
Yes.
after that special occasion so that they
Yeah.
do not go out of your four walls.
Yes. Oh, so important. But I don't think, I know a lot of business people don't think like that anymore.
Mm.
Like, they're happy for that person their client to go to somebody else. They're happy for that.
We actually um, came up with a whole color menu of techniques and names for brides. So what I would do is I would do your wedding trial, and then I would say, now Helen, if I had the opportunity to color your hair before your wedding, I would do X, Y, Z. It would mean that it would do X, Y, Z to this, and I would talk about color, and we would gain that color client.
Yes. Yeah.
We recognized that was a big hole in what was happening, because originally when we were winning awards, we were getting all these brides, and then they'd come and see us, and then they would go, and hang on a minute, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
I need to do something about this, because cut and color is how I'm going to keep you.
Yeah.
So it was a huge part of what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So look, I could keep can you hear that?
I didn't hear anything.
Thunder.
That's why I'm looking at my hair and it's all frizzy. I've been caught in the rain 3 times today. The weather is horrendous.
It's crazy. I'm looking out the window and it's like we've got a river running down our street. We've had a few little
Leaks.
yes, sadly, but anyway. Yeah, so before we wrap it up anyway, because I could keep talking forever and but you've got lots of little to make styling easier, you've brought in lots of handy tools, haven't you? So
I'm obsessed by. Do you know that's actually the main reason why we ended up going out as an independent, because when we became an independent educator, it wasn't really the done thing. You actually just work for the company. So I was with Matrix and then Redken. I had a lovely, I had a terrific experience. But I was starting to develop, the first thing we developed was the wristband with the toggle on it. So it was magnetic, and you didn't, because I had an apprentice 23 years ago who
yeah,
opened a bobby pin with her teeth, and Rowena chipped the front of her tooth. And I
okay,
went, oh my God, Rowena, I always use my watch band.
yeah,
And she said, oh, it was whatever it was, it came up with that. So, and then I would say, my husband then went and became a graphic artist. So I'd say to him, I really like a styling belt, but imagine if I could have a magnetic strip across the front so that I could put my bobby pins here, and then when I didn't want that color, I could put them down here, and so forth. So, and imagine if I could have a longer brush. So basically, and I don't want the brush to not have a tip on it, because I want them to be able to take the section,
so important,
rather than take the sectioning clip and then do this. So the tools basically is how we became an independent educator, because I wanted to combine the tools and the education together. So last year we went over to Cosmoprof in Italy,
yeah,
and we sat down with the manufacturers of our bobby pins. I don't know if you've seen our new bobby pin range, but oh my God, they're so good. But it took me, they nearly killed me, Helen.
yeah,
Killed me, because everyone's like, yes, 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 I can get you bobby pin. But they weren't the same bobby pins. They weren't what I wanted. I wanted the bobby pin to be stronger.
yeah,
So, you've got to pay for the molds, and it would come back and forth. And I wanted them in these cute little tins. But the strength of our bobby pins is phenomenal.
yeah,
And I'm so proud of them. So, and I wanted my fringe pins to be longer, because I'd sort of see hairdressers trying to scaffold, and I call them, I don't know what I want to do pins. And they would just sort of disappear, and then they would pin them in. So I've made them longer with little gel balls on the ends, and I
Oh,
love it. I love coming, the combs, I wanted a tail comb, but I wanted the tail to be a lot finer so that hairdressers could use it for styling, but then could double it up instead of using a metal ended tail comb for foiling,
yeah.
use the carbon because carbon's going to go through the hair so much smoother than any metal ended tail comb with, but it's long enough that you can fold the foil. So
Yeah.
I get really excited
Thank
about
you. We just have to say thank you. That's just so thoughtful that, because
I
to
should have had them
create
all so that
these.
I could show you. I'm thinking, oh, I should go and grab my. But yes, I just never think. But I do. I adore our tool. And COVID, Velcro rollers became huge in COVID. So I found the manufacturer that made the aluminium claw Velcro
Oh,
rollers, and I
such a
said, I
great
want them
idea.
longer. I want them longer. So
Yeah.
I paid for the mold and had them made longer.
Yeah, because they're too small. They're actually too
Yeah.
small.
They were too small. The plastic on the inside, the aluminium was there, and even
Yeah.
the duckbill clip. Like, I don't know if you've tried our duckbill clips, but I basically found the duckbill clip factory, and
Yeah.
I said to the duckbill clip factory, I want this spring to be stronger, and I want you to put an extra centimeter on the length of that duckbill clip. They are so good. So when you set for Hollywood waves, you can set in longer sections, and that just holds like that.
So good.
Okay,
Amazing.
you can see how I do get a
No,
bit
I
excited.
love it. It's good, but that's, how do you that's you create out of necessity, really, don't you?
You do. You do. You do.
Yeah. So,
Lots
like
of
I
fun.
said, we could keep talking for ages. But I've got a couple of little quirky questions I ask at the end.
God, okay.
So, have you got any memorable, funny moments or anything like that that come to mind that you can share about your career or anything? It doesn't have to be funny, it could be anything really memorable.
Well, I think I've got a horror memory,
Yeah,
which now I laugh about, but it took me a long time, Helen, to laugh about it.
yeah.
And that was I was on stage at Hair Expo, and I'm actually a very nervy person, so getting on stage is really not easy. And I thought we were all organized, and I had done this little braid on the top of this girl's hair that I was then going to place and pin the padding on and bring all the hair up and sew onto it. And I got onto stage, and it was like it's about a 5 minute walk to get from where your prep room was onto the stage, and you were mic'd up, and it's very strict on how long you had on stage. And we forgot the padding.
Oh,
I'm on stage, and I've looked, and my assistant is down there, and I could just see her face, and she's just gone white. So there was no time for her to run back and get the padding. I
oh,
just had to ad lib, and I just said, oh, let me forget it. So I've put this little braid here so that I can bring all the hair up and just sew into this braid, which was not what I was going to do at all. But anyway,
wow.
I
Oh,
laugh about it now, but now I have a little tick sheet of
yeah.
what is in my tray. So
Oh,
yeah,
well, that's the thing. It happens to the best, doesn't it?
I've got
So,
it.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So, who does Lorna Evans' hair?
Oh God, don't tell her I told you today because I've been caught in rain. Holly Evans. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
so gorgeous.
Holly Evans in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes I get to go to her salon, and she's just started a new salon called Respect Your Hair in Chapel Street.
beautiful.
And they do all that. My Holly is into all the vibrant colours. So if you want
Wow.
rainbow hair, you've got to go to Respect Your Hair and see Holly because her cutting and her creativity with colour is absolutely incredible. So Holly Evans.
Beautiful. That's fantastic.
And sometimes my mum, I don't know if you know that, but my mum Alice is also a hairdresser.
Oh, I
So
think,
I have
yeah,
been
I do
known for
know
a little
that.
tint in my mum's in my mum's space as
That's
well.
good. You've got it both ends, which is great. That's
Yeah,
good.
but no, it's actually not because it means you don't have an appointment. You've actually got to fit in with everybody else.
I know. I'm lucky I've got students because it's either Grace in her kitchen as well, or else a student just touches up the
Yeah,
life of a hairdresser.
I love.
So any advice that you have for anyone in industry or any Lorna Evans advice?
Oh, I think, oh God, I could have so much advice. Don't get stuck between just with your four walls. You know, step outside, look at what's happening in Fashion Week, go to education, do online education. I've just signed myself up for a new education myself. You know, education never ends. So there you go. There's my piece of advice.
Yeah.
Education never ends.
But
You know what? My pet hate is to ever hear somebody saying, I'm going to get out of the industry because I'm bored. You're bored because you've not learned something new,
yeah,
and you're not so if you're bored, your clients will be bored, business
yes,
will go down. It all goes hand in hand. If I'm excited about something, then I'm I'm never going to be bored. And of
yeah,
course, hopefully my students won't be bored and my customers. Imagine if I just put that one program into the schools, you know, how boring for the teachers as well. So I
yeah,
hope the teachers are excited next year when they open up and see the new looks that they're going to be.
absolutely. It's
Never,
good.
never stop, always revolve.
Yeah, that's right. And it is, it's exciting. Like they do, your client, like you said, if you're bored, the clients are bored. But, you know, when I know myself, if I, you know, go up to Expo or to Hair Festival or any of those, the clients love it. What did you learn? So such a
You know,
good,
I've never missed an expo. I think it was, I think it ran, Hair Expo itself ran for about 22 years, and I'm pregnant and all. I was there every single year, and I've been there every single year for Hair Festival. I think it's an important part of our industry.
yeah, it is. It's great. It's inspiration. So, and for those who don't know, where can people find you, Lorna?
So you can find me on Instagram, just Lorna Evans Education, or Facebook, the same. Um, we do have a styling club. So today there's an email newsletter that's just gone out that has a full tutorial on a fantastic little braid that we have done, but only people on our email list can get that. So there is a link in our Instagram page. So just click on my link and just you'll see one of the links is actually join the styling club, and it's free. So that's my email newsletters. We never spam anyone because Helen, I don't outsource any of our marketing. I like to do it myself because it's that is one big part about us.
Personal.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
it will always be a personal brand. We have no aspirations to make it any different. Oh, and of course my website, www.lornaevanseducation.com.au. You can see all my beautiful tools in there, and
Yes.
there's online education. There's all sorts of different things in there.
Yeah, definitely check them out. They're very good. They're great. Well, actually, I used the big wide comb that I love,
The
like with
big
the
tail
long.
comb.
Yeah, that was yeah. Today it's just there's always one of your tools somewhere in my.
I love that.
It's good.
I'll
So
pay you
thank
later for
you.
that.
So thank you so much for today. Thanks for your time. I know how busy you are, and it's been great to have a chat.
Oh
And
yeah, you too. No,
we'll
it was
catch up again because I know that there'll be plenty more to talk about. Probably, you know, in another whatever, like 6 to 12
absolutely.
months, there'll be
Yeah.
another lot of new inspiration, new styles coming out.
Oh
So
yeah, we need to
thank you
stop.
so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Helen. I really appreciate you asking me.
Okay, thank you.
See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.